This video is about Claire Jordan and the safety issues created by trying to work with her. Not just over the last few days, but over the last few years. So I'm going to give you a brief rundown on it, as brief as I can. So I moved here in 2022. I was not planning on moving here. I'm sorry if I'm a bit grossified. I think I have a cold. I'm not sure what it is exactly. I had the flu last week. Anyway, getting back to this video about Claire. One thing that is common, well, more than just common, almost every single time that a woman says that she's going to help me, on the day that it's time to help me, she's inevitably going to be sick. And when she runs out of different illnesses to cycle through, then it'll be something else. You know, guys don't always want to help you, but we do it anyway. That's the difference between the good men of the world and the ones you throw yourselves at like idiots. It's not much different from the other side. So when I moved here in 2022, I wasn't here very long before I got to meet Claire Jordan, and she told me a lot of stories. I didn't see any of this stuff happen, but I try to believe her because, well, when it comes to turning in abuse, number one, you need to listen, and number two, you need to believe them. But you show you believe them by helping them turn it in right away. You also need to show that you believe them by shutting up and listening to understand. You can either, well, let's give you an example of, instead of somebody's story, you're watching Star Wars or any other movie for that matter. Now you want to ask questions through the whole thing. You're going to miss the movie and it's not going to make any sense. So, the thing with Claire is that on multiple occasions she was going to help me, but then she started dating this guy named Casey who'd already screwed me over more than once. He didn't understand the concept. Basically, he was a drug addict who was just after free stuff. He was a manipulator. So Claire started dating him, hoping that would maybe help her to get out of here because you have to couple up. Well, not that kind of coupling up. Not when it comes to turning in abuse. But you're more likely to get somebody who's going to stick with you and do some of that if it's somebody that you're in an intimate relationship with. Well, that didn't get Casey to do anything for her. He also didn't help me. He took advantage of me on her behalf, basically. Then, of course, Claire would offer to help me, and then, like, for example, when her and Casey were both going to help me if I went up the mountains, it always ended up being a situation where she's going to talk about herself. Most of our earliest recordings are pretty much just her going off on a tangent and me listening, adding something in every so often. Well, eventually she ended up leaving, and even knowing the situation with Natalie, what happened is she showed up, claimed that she wanted to help me when I had Kara Scudder there to help me. Well, Kara Scott can't even speak the English language. When Miss Scudder was there to help me, she didn't end up helping me because she wasn't able to, because Claire showed up and wouldn't shut up. Just talked about herself nonstop. I had important stuff. I finally had somebody there in person. And Claire was showing herself to be the most selfish person on the planet at that point in time. She did not care to help me through any of this. She wanted somebody that she could bitch at when things didn't go right. Now, she's never produced any evidence that any of the abuse actually happened to her. She has produced evidence that shows that she has an IQ of 141. She has produced evidence that she is autistic. She also has a lot of stories that are similar to mine. I've also been told, and I'm already aware, that there are some people who they'll try to one-up you on stories, or if you tell a story, they'll just try to tell a more outlandish story. It's not about helping you or finding out what's going on. It's about telling a more outlandish story so that, you get more attention, maybe more kudos, whatever you want to call your brownie points or your measurement of your ability to urinate, whatever. So that was the last time that I saw Claire Jordan, and she disappeared. And she also blocked me. No reason, just blocked me. And I was afraid it might have been a situation where somebody had gotten a hold of her phone. I'd had several people get a hold of me after we were supposedly friends, and then all of a sudden they either blocked me out of nowhere or sent me a bunch of mean texts. And later on, they're like, oh, that wasn't me. My boyfriend got a hold of my phone, or my ex husband got a hold of my phone, or, things of that nature. Caroline, that's a lady here in Tillamook, her son actually got a hold of her phone. She let her son borrow the phone, and instead of using it for what he needed to, instead he used it to be mean to me. Anyway, when she left that day, that was literally the same day that I was having to deal with turning stuff in to Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services, as well as having to go through Tides of Change. That was the night that Tamara, or no, not Tamara, Miranda from Tides of Change decided that she was going to call me at like 9:30 at night, 8:30 at night, like knowing that I couldn't plug in my computer and I couldn't give her the answers to the questions that she was needing to ask me because I didn't have the ability to plug my computer in and use it. So it was a super stressful situation for me. And then when I was blocked, yes, of course I freaked out. Of course I tried to make a missing persons report. Of course I made a missing persons post. Don't go fucking disappearing like that and not saying nothing. Especially after the Natalie Bollinger situation. And I had explained that to Claire beforehand, too. It's almost like everything that I say that she could do to hurt me, she goes out of her way to do. And that's not helpful. But then, of course, she's always got some sob story about her kids, too. So, of course, I want to be helpful towards that. But she's promising me help the whole time that she was here in Tillamook, that she would help me if I helped her when we went up the mountains with her ex-boyfriend, Casey. We were going to listen to her story first, and then we were going to listen to mine. And what she ended up doing is getting extremely drunk, and I listened to her story. It was going to be 30 minutes for each of us, and I listened without interrupting for her entire story. The one that she told at the time. There's obviously more to it, and more added to it since then because more things have happened. So, the most recent situation with Claire, let's fast forward to this. So, Claire finally got a hold of me to tell me that after she disappeared, nobody bothered to try finding her except for me. Nobody cared. She also told me that Casey had blocked all of her friends and family on her phone so that they couldn't contact her. Her story later on became she blocked all these people because it was for our safety. She was afraid that Casey would come and get us. She believes that Casey may have had something to do with the disappearance of, God, what's his name? A guy here in Tillamook named Robin. Apparently, his sister disappeared while dating Casey. So let's get back to the night in the mountains when she got super drunk. I spent that time listening to her so that I could help her out, and I offered to help her the way that she was asking and the way that she needed. But then when it was my turn, by that time she was pretty drunk and she wouldn't stop talking over me and making it about her, and it becomes that every time. Oftentimes it becomes a pity party where she uses her children and, oh, poor me, my children, my children, my children. Yeah, I get that. I do. I really do. But at the same time, when you promise that you're going to do something, don't get drunk. That's not helpful. You're not hearing the victim's story when you're doing that. Then, of course, there's the part where, well, for example, some horrible things happen to her kids, from which she's telling me. Her kids haven't told me this stuff, only Claire has. But I want to believe her. She claims that the border police are going to help her, and then she bitches for almost 3 years now. She's been complaining that the border police never quite get around to it, that they accidentally contacted Joshua Stromberg, so, he was aware that they were looking into him, and so he fled. She's saying that they're still garnishing his wages for child support, so they do know where he is, and they're not picking him up. She's also saying that Tillamook won't do anything about it. She's also saying that she wants to turn this stuff in. And then she tells me that she doesn't. She doesn't want to turn it in because of stuff that's going on with her kids. So she tells me that she's going to spend Thursday, and all day Thursday she's set aside for helping me. Well, Thursday came around, and yeah, instead of helping me, which she basically sounded like she was drunk, just like the night we were in the mountains. Now, she said she had the flu, so she might have been hitting the Tussin for all I know. She might have been mainlining some NyQuil or whatever because she wasn't feeling well. And those are over-the-counter medications for when you don't feel well. So I'm not accusing her of being drunk. When you're sick and you don't feel well, sometimes you don't think right. But then there's the fact that, she basically misunderstood the assignment. She also, when we went and talked to Brandon, because she was on the phone, that's the only way I could do it is to call her before I went to the care and then have her be on the phone while I'm at care. But instead of, speaking up where she should have, what she wanted to do is talk to me like I was retarded, which she doesn't usually do over the phone. She just repeats the same stories over and over again. And you notice I do the same thing. But when it comes to a victim coming to you about being abused and needing help turning it in, they're not coming to you for advice. They're not coming to you just to bitch. They're coming to you because there's a serious issue and they need help stopping it. They need help turning it in. Some people are less likely to be heard by the police. That's what makes us vulnerable. Having a friend or family member go in with us makes all the difference in the world. Now, when this video ends, I'll probably have to make a second one about the Claire situation. But the thing is that the day before yesterday, she let me know that she was sick and her kids were sick and she was up most of the night. But another thing that she did is she kept on pity partying me over the time that she was spending by doing that, and that she was sick over and over again. Oh, Sean, I'm sorry, I'm sick, but I promised, so I'm here. I'm sick, but I promised, so I'm here. And probably close to 50 times she said that between what ended up being 2 days, because the first day she wasn't able to do much. A lot of times I'll stop what I'm saying and pretend I can't remember what it is I was talking about just to see if she was paying any attention, and no, she doesn't. And then there's always the points in the story where, we're supposed to turn it in. When I offer to help turn her stuff in, all of a sudden she doesn't want to. But then she does want to, and then she wants to talk about it a whole bunch. And then on the time we're supposed to help me out, instead of helping me out, she's fucked up on Robitus and stuck on repeating the same thing. And not only that, interrupting me repeatedly to say those things. And I have to bring up that almost everybody does that to me. Now, the difference between your 9-year-old daughter, now, I'm not saying that her daughter's 9 because this is a fictional thing for the moment. Now, she has shown that she knows exactly what to do to turn in abuse and how to turn it in immediately and who to get a hold of. She knows exactly how to do that. So, here's the thing. If your 9-year-old daughter is being abused, do you interrupt